This is Rick Rule for the Vancouver Natural Resources Investment Symposium 2021 edition. I'm delighted to welcome, at least figuratively, an old friend of the symposium, Simon Ridgway, who's been a supporter of the symposium and, in fact, a supporter of our investment activities for many years. As my memory serves me correct, Simon and I first met each other in conjunction with Mar West Resources about 20 years ago, a successful exploration that was ultimately sold to Klamath.
25 years ago, Rick, perhaps.
Well, I was trying to give you and I both the benefit of the doubt, Simon.
Yeah.
Simon is now the founder and Simon's now the founder and chairman of Gold Group, the flagship of which is Radius Resources, which we'll talk about, and a second public company where we have been investors called Volcanic Gold. First of all, Simon, welcome, and thanks for supporting us for decades.
No, thank you for the invitation as well to chat.
So tell us something about what you're trying to accomplish within Gold Group, what you're doing with Radius, and of course, what the value proposition is associated with Volcanic.
Right. So Radius has been active in Central America and Mexico for many, many years. As you mentioned, Mar West. I saw Mar West, I think, in 1998 after a successful exploration play in Honduras and Guatemala. I sold Mar West to Glamis Gold and then founded Radius. And Radius was not allowed to work in Central America for a couple of years after that sale. So we went to work in Mexico, and we've been there ever since. Mexico, Guatemala, and Nicaragua. Radius has made a few discoveries in that period of time, but most of them have been fairly small. I've kept the company financed by, finding small gold deposits while looking for big ones and selling those on to keep the company. I haven't financed Radius since 2011, except for selling some of the assets we discovered. So we built up quite a portfolio in Mexico in Radius, and we have some joint ventures there. One with Pan American that's developing quite well, and a lot of early stage projects that we're working on ourselves. Radius also, when I first put the company back into Guatemala, we acquired a large land position in eastern Guatemala, about 320,000 hectares in the Volcanic belt. It's kind of where I cut my teeth in that Central American volcanic belt, and made a number of discoveries. Besides the San Martin in Honduras, we also discovered the Cerro Blanco in Guatemala, which is presently being developed by Bluestone, a Lundin company. And in and around that discovery, Bluestone, the Cerro Blanco mine, we have a large land position. And really, I held on to the land position for quite a number of years because Guatemala was a bit of the political situation that wasn't conducive to mining. We had a discovery at Tambo that I sold to Dan Kappas that was in production, and the government shut the mine down as it shut down Pan American's Escobal deposit, which was Tahoe at that point. So I held on to the ground position I had and waited for the politics in that region to change. And last year, a pro-mining government came into Guatemala. They changed. They are in the process of changing the mining law to some degree. Many of these mines that were in production there were shut down by the Constitutional Court, which was a very left-wing court that was put in from American influence. So we won't get into politics too much, but that has been changed now, and the Constitutional Court is got 3 members, very strong right-wing. The government is pro-mining. The people are tired of seeing their population drift north in caravans to the USA so they can find work. You read in the press that it's mostly about the violence in Central America, but actually it's about lack of employment. So the Guatemalan government realizes that, and they're pro-mining. The Constitutional Court is changing things, and I think within the next 12 months we'll see Escobal back in production again. So Radius being busy in Mexico, what I wanted to do was get a well-financed company to explore the land position we have in Guatemala. I had a shell on my office called Volcanic. So we financed Volcanic for $213 million and made a joint venture with Radius, whereby Volcanic can earn into, there's 2 main properties, the Holly and the Banderas property. So Volcanic can earn into 60% of these two key properties by spending $7 million US over a 4-year period. The Radius will be carried for 40% of that. And if we successfully make a discovery in the Holly and the Banderas property, I will probably see Volcanic, buy that 40% from Radius for an equity position in Volcanic. So Radius would finish up in control of Volcanic. We started drilling on the Holly property about a month ago. My belief was that when we tested this property 21 years ago, we didn't drill deep enough. We cut some good intercepts high up and didn't chase them down. 21 meters of 5 grams gold and 150 silver, and some very high grade narrow veins in there that were running ounces of gold and kilos of silver. But we didn't chase them down to depth. Just to wind back a little bit, when I was in Guatemala with Ma West, we did find the Escobal vein. We didn't make the discovery. We didn't drill deep enough. I didn't want to make that mistake again. So I've held onto the ground and gone back in there with a well-financed company to make sure that we don't leave, 300 or 400 million ounces of silver sitting a few hundred meters below our deepest drill hole. So presently we're drilling on the Holly property. We've got about 8 holes in so far, and there's no assays yet, but it's quite easy to say that the veins are looking a little more robust at depth than they were at surface. So if those grades continue that we hit on the 21 years ago, if the grades in the veins continue to depth, then I think we're onto something. And that's on the Holly property. The Banderas property is about 8 kilometers southeast of the Holly property. And there we have about 15 kilometers of veins where, again, we drilled about 40 holes back in 2002, 2003 in these properties. And we got broad intervals of low-grade mineralization. So again, we've got that permitted now. We're mobilizing a second rig to the Banderas property, and we'll start drilling on that in about 2 or 3 weeks. And again, we're going to chase that to depth. Volcanic's got, presently it's got about 12 million cash in the treasury, 44 million shares out. And 1 second, I'm going to take a sip. After doing this for 20 years, I still get dry when I'm talking on a camera. So Volcanic, 44 million shares out, 12 million in the treasury, drill program underway on the Holly and the Banderas property. Beside that, the other, as I said, Radius has got 350,000 hectares of ground in this unexplored volcanic belt. We've done stream geochem back in 2010, 2011 over this whole area and never followed it up. And Volcanic has got the option to take a look at all that other ground that Radius has and make separate joint ventures on other target areas within that belt. I won't go into any of the detail on the projects we've got there, but because they've got to get granted yet. The constitutional court that was in place in Guatemala that really put a stop to the mining in the country, they also enacted some things as far as granting concessions go, where you have to get community support to grant concessions. You have to have a parlay with all the people that live in the area, which makes it very, very complicated. So we're working with the Guatemala government to try to bring that into a reasonable format. I mean, for the mining branch itself to have a liaison with all the people that live in the region to grant a concession is just something they don't have the ability or the finances to do. So we're trying to get that changed. We are working very closely with the people in the Holly and the Banderas property. They're very keen to see mines developed in that region. As we said before, there's no work in the area. So with any success, I think we'll get, as Bluestone is, we'll be able to advance that through to production. And Bluestone's about 35 kilometers to the south, where they're developing that mine. So hopefully we won't find a small deposit again, but if we do, I've got a buyer right just down the road. But hopefully we'll find something that allows us to build a mine ourselves or sell and move on as we have done before. I mean, I'm an exploration guy. I was the founder of and involved in Fortuna Silver for a long time until a couple of months ago. But my passion is exploration, and the area I've had a lot of success is Central America, where I'm back working again. So I'm very happy to be there. Radius has got a couple of other investments that I'll just mention briefly. I spun up a company called Rattler many years ago for some work in the Yukon. Rattler was a spin out from Radius. It had a large land position there. And I've recently, Rattler has made an announcement of acquiring a large gold deposit in the DRC. It was brought to me by a bunch of seasoned geologists that have worked in the DRC for many, many years, and a couple of entrepreneurs that have had a lot of success in Africa. So they're coming in to manage the company. Right now I'm in there as CEO president, but that will change in the next few months. That's a company that will be called Golden Hawk. It's presently it's Rattler. It's got we're acquiring 3.1 million ounces of gold in a resource that's been drilled off, close to surface, 4.5 to 1 strip ratio. Seasoned bunch of people going to be running the company. The stock is presently halted until that comes back to trade, which will be in about the next 4 weeks. Radius has got about a 19% interest in that company. So that will, again, that will keep Radius well financed if with that when that company's trading. So Radius has got 88 million shares out. It's got a market cap of about 20 million. It's got a joint venture with Pan American in Mexico. It's got a new project called the Maricela, a second one called the Plata Verde he's working on. It has that 40% carried in Guatemala with Volcanic, and it's got about a 19% interest in this new play, which is in the DRC, which is basically a development story. The concession that we picked up, it's got a 30-year mine life. It's a 55-kilometer belt, where in the middle of that belt, the previous owners have drilled out 3.1 million ounces at 2.2 grams with about a 4.5 to 1 strip ratio. And the exploration potential along that belt is very, very good. The previous company did soil sampling all the way down the belt, poked a couple of holes here and there outside of that main deposit, but there's a lot of exploration ground to be working on there. Any questions, Rick, on all of that?
No, you've done an admirable job, Simon, in both, well, all three regards, I should say, with regards to describing the opportunity in front of us in Volcanic, the new opportunity with Rattler, and of course the parent company. We've got only about 2 minutes left, but perhaps you could tell us something about the success that you and Pan American are enjoying in the Radius and Pan American are enjoying.
Yeah, so property that Radius found in Mexico. We did a joint venture with Pan American there. We made a nice discovery. Presently, it's about 500,000 ounces I mean, this is a sort of back of the envelope guesstimate. It's about 500,000 ounces at about 8 grams gold, silver combined in one shoot. I think from the drilling that Pan American's done recently, that chute is closed off to depth. So that chute itself is not going to get much larger. But it's a large belt with a lot of other targets. Pan American has just permitted a second drill program. So the drills there should be turning in about 2 weeks, I think. We're looking for more of that. We were getting hits like 10 to 20 meters of 8 to 10 grams gold. It's a very high-grade chute. I was hoping when they missed it going below that, that we'd get that 500,000 ounces back again, but that's not the case. Pan American is keen on the property. They have a lot of other targets that they're going to be drilling, and I don't see that coming back Radius's way. They have a payment due in a few weeks of about 700,000 to Radius. That'll be coming in, so that'll again keep Radius finance going forward. But it's an excellent looking property. I think they're optimistic they're going to find a number of other shoots with that same kind of width and grade of the first one. Well, and the second property, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Just got a minute left.
The second property, the Maricela, which Bruce has discovered in recent weeks, looks very, very interesting. It's way up in the north by the large porphyries up there. Property never been drilled. We're getting some good 100 to 200 grams of silver over broad widths, 10 to 15 meters. So it's an open pit silver target. It looks very, very interesting. We're still waiting, pending on samples on that, but keep your eyes on radius. I think beside the joint venture with Pan American, I think Bruce is going to come up with a couple of other nice discoveries in Mexico.
Well, Simon, thank you for your successes over the years. Mar West, Fortuna, all of those. It sounds like you have a real exciting year coming up in Radius, in Rattler, and in Volcanic. So thank you for your past success. Thank you for your continued support of the industry, and of course, your continued support of the Vancouver Natural Resources Investment Symposium. Thank you for everything, Simon.
Thank you very much, Rick, and thanks for the invite to be on the show. Hopefully we'll get one when we can be together sometime in the not too distant future.